feel like the writing is impeccable. I relate to a lot of what our character is going through. I'm preferring some sections over other sections. There's something so very youthful and enjoyable about this book. Hi, welcome back to my channel, and in today's video we're going to be doing a 24-hour readathon, and this is something that I've started up quite recently this year. It's my second one of the year, so it's kind of like following along with the months. I might end up doing them monthly, I'm not 100% sure about that. So the whole structure of this video is that it is a Friday afternoon and I just came back from work, so I'm going to try and read, I don't know, a couple hours tonight, a couple hours on Saturday, and a couple hours on Sunday. And one thing about when I do a 24-hour readathon, I genuinely have plans during the weekend, so I am not just sitting around and reading all day. I also have other things that I need to get to, and tonight it's Friday, but I don't have any plans. I was at work, but tomorrow I have to visit some family, and on Sunday I have actually a book club meeting, so I'm going to be interleaving my reading in between all of my plans, and hopefully by the end of the weekend I'll make it to 24 hours. If I don't, I will just move it over onto the next week as I've done before. So with that being said, I'm going to talk about the TBR that we have for this video. So this is the TBR for the 24-hour readathon. It's including one book that I'm already reading, and that is Abigail by Magda Szabo. I have started this book. I'm genuinely not that far into it, but so far I'm really enjoying it. I feel like the writing is impeccable. It's very sharp and surprisingly readable, so I'm enjoying the writing so far. And it is a bit of a longer book, so it's taking me a bit of a while to get through, but I am enjoying it so far. We're kind of following it through the perspective of a young girl who is sent to boarding school, a very strict boarding school, so we are just settling into her new life with her currently in the book, but I'm definitely enjoying this one. Next book that I want to read is Flights by Olga Tokarczuk, and this book it actually won the International Booker Prize in the past, and I know they recently released the long list for the International Booker Prize, but I'm like playing catch up, it feels like. So I'm really excited for this one. It's also going to be my first Fitzcarraldo edition, so I'm very excited for that. The quality of the book seems good, it's just that I got it from my retail bookseller here in South Africa, and it was just beat up, and it's like the color, it's fading a bit. Yeah, I don't know if you can see that. It's not in the best condition. That's kind of like not what I wanted, but I'm hoping that the inner contents of the book are a lot more agreeable. And then another book that I want to get to is Mrs. Dalloway by Virginia Woolf. This is a classic, and I know pretty much nothing about it. I feel like Virginia Woolf was someone who is somewhat closer to the inception of feminist literature, so I definitely want to read this and read her work. And then I have The Glass Castle by Jeanette, and this book is a memoir. I've heard so much about it, so I just feel like, honestly, I'm just excited to read it because I've heard so many people talking about it, and it is quite an old book. I believe it was published in 2007, so if you have a memoir that has stood the test of 20 years, that's crazy. But I'm gonna start my timer and we're gonna get to reading. So I'm currently 3 hours into my readathon. I am this far through with the book. I know it's not a lot for 3 hours, but this is quite a dense novel. So yeah, this is how much I've read. Almost halfway, sort of. And I'd say that the pacing is kind of slow. There is stuff happening, but each chapter is very in-depth and in detail, so it's not like super fast paced. You just kind of explore each moment in a lot of detail and explore like the characters' emotions and the dynamics, and also just like the history and the war. I feel like if I was to give it a rating currently, I think I would give it maybe a 4 stars. I feel like I relate to a lot of what our character is going through in terms of like high school antics and isolation and bullying and not fitting in and just kind of wanting to escape. She is a lot more headstrong and determined than I am as a person, but I do relate to her feelings of isolation. And honestly, I love the way that her character's written, because even though she is privileged and headstrong, she still is endearing in the sense that I feel for what she's going through, and I feel like I understand her actions and her reactions. I don't feel like she's overacting or in any way that she's unlikable. I enjoy like the historical context. I enjoy also like, surprisingly, the childish dynamics. There's a lot about lying and playing with truth and stretching truth, and like, because it's exploring they are not adults, so like we're kind of exploring, I guess, because they are adolescents, the way that truth is used is kind of like in a more flexible way, because as a kid or when you're young, you kind of make up lies in order to appease the adults in the room. Like, you'll be like, oh, well, I didn't do that, and I didn't do that, and this is actually what happened. So like a lot of lying, a lot of like playing with truth, and a lot of youthful intentions and a youthful way of viewing the world. And it's like an interesting contrast to like very much grown up and adult setting of war and death, and I think that's a really good contrast in this book. Now I'm gonna read this for a couple hours. I just want to switch things up because I am doing very long sprints of reading, so I like to just like switch between books while I'm reading. So it's the next day. Good morning, and I've been reading Flights by Olga Tokarczuk, and this is how far I've gotten in 2 hours. I'm on page 75, which isn't that far, TBH, but I think that it's not an easy book to read, so it's kind of taking a bit longer to get through. We are following various people in different locations, with kind of the conjoining or connecting theme being travel. And when you kind of step into each chapter, you're not really sure who you're going to be following, and you kind of have to just piece it together based on the information that you received prior. So it has a lot of elements about travel, about life, about time, about human connection, about airports, about value, and about personality. Yeah, so I'm finding I'm preferring one perspective a lot more than the other one, because one is quite profound and deep and reflective, and the other one is a bit more plot driven, which is totally fine. But it is very interesting how she is using two completely different storytelling methodologies within the same book. So that's really interesting. My initial thoughts are that I'm preferring some sections over other sections, so it's not at current a perfect book for me, but the parts that I'm enjoying so much, and I want to go back and reread them 1,000 times, and the other parts I'm just kind of like, okay. So it is a bit of a, like, I don't want to say mismatch, but like it's not 100% clear terrain, because we are following a lot of like different aspects and elements, the different chapters, if you could even call them chapters, because they're quite short, and they're various at this point, and they can be like half a page or 2 pages. They're not that long, but some are like 10 pages, so it definitely varies a lot. And like I said, it is disjointed in that sense that you don't know what you're going to read next and how it connects to what you have read prior. I'd say that the pacing is it's okay. It's almost quick-paced and slow-paced at the same time, which is interesting. But so far the book itself has kept my attention, and I, in general, am enjoying it. So that is good. I'm going to continue on with Abigail. I feel like I've been wanting to pick this one up as well. I've enjoyed it. Oh, I don't know if I said, but it's my 5-hour update. Yeah, so I'm probably going to read for 3 hours, and then I'll give my next update. I have just under 16 hours left in my reading, and I've been reading Abigail. This is my progress. I have this much left, which is pretty significant. It is a very long book. The font is quite small, so it's taking a while to get through. So far in the book, it's so weird because I've just been like reading for 3 hours straight. I haven't really like had time to think about my thoughts on the book, but so far there's a lot of like parallels in the novel. The parallel of the war, the parallel of the school, and the parallel of our main character. And there's a lot of like pranking and kind of like, I don't want to say hidden motivation, but just like unawareness. And I like it, the idea of the joke extended to the level of a dissident in the city, and he plays his pranks, which are obviously of a much more serious nature, but because we are in this school setting where there are punishments and pranks and jokes and superstitions, it brings a lightness and a levity to a very disastrous and horrible history, which I appreciate. It's very smart. Obviously this book is a classic, but it's also a historical fiction classic, so a lot of the historical context of Hungary and them fighting as an Axis power in the World War II and propaganda, those sort of like historical themes are super important in this novel. I'd say that I'm enjoying it. There are definitely moments that are slower in the novel. I think I mentioned that earlier, like the chapters are long and they're quite descriptive and so a bit slower paced. I think the whole of the book has only spanned thus far over 2 months, so it definitely is slower paced, and we're definitely getting a lot of like insights as a reader. Like the author is giving us hints, not exactly outright saying, but she's equipping us with enough information and enough juxtaposition to the point where we as readers can guess the ending, and that's kind of the fun in it as well. I guess another one of the games that we're allowed to play. There's something so very youthful and enjoyable about this book. So we're given information as that the character herself has not realized, and it's fun. It's just fun to see her act in so much opposition to the thing that is actually in her benefit, which is funny. I'd say that the messages that this book has, I think the primary goal of the novel is to portray the instability and the chaos that Hungarian people lived through during this time, but using a very interesting medium of the high school in order to contrast that. I think obviously the main goal is the Hungarian people, and we kind of use our main protagonist as our own consciousness, because she is slowly beginning to understand that the war is not being fought in good faith, and the things that they are hearing are not steeped in truth. So we kind of get to witness that shift in our main character, which is super effective. But since I've been reading that for 3 hours, that was a long time, I'm gonna continue this book, probably do 2 hours of this. Hopefully I get a bit further now that I'm more familiar with her writing style. But we're gonna continue on with Flights. flights, but I wanted to share this tiny bit that I read, which was really nice and interesting, just interesting in general. Every body part deserves to be remembered. Every human body deserves to last. It's an outrage that it's so fragile, so delicate. It's an outrage that it's permitted to disintegrate underground or given to the mercy of flames, burned like rubbish. If it were up to Blau, he would make the world differently. The soul could be mortal. What do we need it for anyway? But the body would be immortal. We will never learn how diverse the human species is, how unique each individual, if we are so quick to condemn bodies to destruction, he thought. In the past, people understood this, but they lacked the means, the methods to preserve. Only the wealthiest could afford embalming. But today, the science of plastification was developing very fast, perpetually perfecting its methods. Anyone who wanted to could save the body now and share in its beauty, its mystery with others. Here is the wondrous system of my muscles, the sprinter would say, the 1,000-meter world champion. Look, everyone, and how this works. Here is my brain, the greatest chess player would cry. Ah, these unusual two grooves, let's call them bishop twists. Here's my stomach. The two children emerged from here into the ground, the proud mother would say. Just really interesting things that I've never ever even considered. The difference between the soul being mortal and the body being immortal, and the immortality of the body and preservation of the body. Never thought about that, but just an interesting thing being brought up in this book. So I'm now at my 10-hour mark in the readathon, and this is how much I've read of Flights. Really not that much. Halfway, not even halfway yet, but I am enjoying it. I have taken a bit of a break. I had something to eat, something to drink, and yeah, I've also just was listening to music, because I feel like if you are reading for this long, you can sort of lose your mind. It can happen, so I'm just happy that I took a break to regain my bearings, I guess. For me, this is 4 hours of reading, essentially. I feel like it's going to take me at least another 6 hours to get through this one. But so far, the book is quite disjointed, but I think I'm appreciating it because there are certain words and themes that are mentioned once or twice in stories, and you kind of have to keep them in your mind, and then they're mentioned again and again throughout the book, kind of creating this interwoven map. A lot about maps too throughout the novel itself, so I think it is useful that I'm reading it so quickly, or in one sitting in a sense, because I have everything that I need right here in my memory, and I can just pull from that, and it's just easily accessible when I need to. This book actually won the International Booker Prize. I think I mentioned that in 2017, and I can see why. This is definitely a gargantuan epic in a sense. It just contains a lot, and it is not an easy read, so I feel like I understand why it was awarded for its major efforts. But as a reader, I think I'm okay with the fragments of chapters, because I really enjoy picking out little vignettes of beauty. I don't find it too disjointed. I'm enjoying the structure of it a lot. Yeah, I feel like this book kind of reminds me of maybe a Clarice Lispector, maybe, but it's definitely very interesting. Now I'm gonna continue on with Abigail. I really want to finish this if I can. Let's see how long it takes. Hi, it is later on, much later, and I'm 13 hours into this challenge, and I have this much left of Abigail, just basically 30 pages, and I do have my theories as to who are the two characters that have been aiding in both Gina's struggle, but also in the struggle of the opposition to the allyship with Germany in the World War. So yeah, I think that will be revealed soon, and I think it's just crazy that even up till the end, Gina's being punished and going through a lot of issues, behavioral issues, which is interesting. All in all, I'd say that it's okay. It's just very long. It is very long, and I feel like a lot of what we're getting right now is maybe a bit unnecessary. I guess we're just getting the atmosphere of the school, which I'm like, I personally feel like I could do without, because I have a good grasp and understanding of the school and the dynamics and everything. But yeah, it's such a long book. It is so long, and I didn't think it would take this long to read, but I have enjoyed it. It's just I want it to be over at this point. But yes, I'm gonna be picking up Flights by Tokarczuk. I'm enjoying this, so I'm just happy to break up my reading of Abigail, because it was going on forever and I want it to be over. Hey guys, so it is now Sunday and I just want to give a quick little update. So I have actually 9 hours left in the challenge. I've been reading for 15 hours timed this weekend, and I was actually reading Flights by Olga Tokarczuk. I'm over halfway, so I have like this much left. It currently is 7 p.m. on Sunday. I did read earlier in the day, but I also had a book club meeting, which was really fun. We were watching the movie for The Housemaid, and I really enjoyed the movie, and it was just nice to like actually see something that you've read as a club in movie form. That was really nice. Now I'm going to be picking up Abigail. I've had quite a bit of a break from this book, so I think that I can tackle these last few pages. I shouldn't say this, but like I'm going to try and read as quick as I can. I feel like this book has a lot of writing in it. Maybe it doesn't need all of the things that it's saying. I'm going to talk about Flights, and I feel like the more that I read of this book, the more that I'm enjoying it. And it's just, for me in my mind, it's tying together in a really nice way. It is just very interesting. I'm really enjoying it. Like, the more that I read, the more that things are tying together, because it's like you'll just read something and like, okay, well that's random, but then like some later on down the line it will actually tie into something, which is like amazing. So yeah, for the rest of the evening I have 9 hours. I don't think I'll do 9 hours, it's already 7 p.m. So yeah, I'm just gonna put my head down and try to do as much reading as I can, and we'll have to just continue on with this challenge during the week. So it is a lot later in the week. Well, it's Tuesday. So yesterday I actually had my mom over, so I really didn't do much reading because like I was not on my own, and yeah, I just read a bit before bed. But I've actually now reached 18 hours in the readathon, so I have 6 hours left. 6 hours left, and I have been still reading Flights. This is how much I've left, and I think that this book is just, it's very interesting because it's like you'll read it and you're like very confused and you're like, why is this happening? What does this story even mean? How does it relate to anything? But then she'll like circle back. There's a lot of circling back to the things that happen in this book, and I think that that's very interesting, and she does it in a really thoughtful way. This book is really, I think I said this earlier, it's good to just read it in a way that you can like almost build a mind map from it, because it's just very interestingly, like, the characters and the stories themselves are weaved together in this very odd way that I've never really seen before. A lot of the things that she's mentioning are things about like anatomy and plastification and historical figures that have lived in the past. So it's just fun to parse out what is fiction and what is real. In terms of like the scientific processes that she speaks on, I think that that is mostly real. So it almost feels like a fiction, but like with the non-fiction and educated quality of non-fiction. So I really like how things are just constantly circling back. I like the writing. I like how she is able to write both plot and profound, like she's able to deliver deep, profound, thoughtful insights, but also really write engaging stories with a plot, and you might not understand what the plot means, but later down the line she kind of ties it together, which is interesting. So I want to pick up my next book, which is Mrs. Dalloway. So we're going to be reading Mrs. Dalloway by Virginia Woolf next. It is about 200 pages. I'll see if it's a quick read or a slow one, but I'm excited to see what it's about. Hey guys, so it is once again much later, and I've been reading Mrs. Dalloway by Virginia Woolf. I'm currently on page 39, and I also have 4 hours left in the reading challenge. So with this book, I have read about this much. Not much, but it is a very difficult book to read. It's just like, it's not an easy book to read. The way that it's written is very moving around a lot, and it's kind of, I don't want to say annoying, but like, it's just like you really have to pay attention, and I'm still confused. Essentially, we are following a woman who is throwing a party, and following her along the day that she had and the various events and people that she knows and that she bumps into whilst running errands and preparing for this party. She also interrogates her own past and her memories and her life throughout the day as well. This book essentially uses stream of consciousness, if you can call it that. It's just like very, I don't want to say disoriented, but it just moves a lot from character to character, and then the sentences are very long, and they basically built upon itself, so where like one sentence will be a paragraph long, and you're just kind of like moving from tangent to tangent to tangent, and I just don't feel like I'm vibing with the writing style. But right now our main character is Clarissa Dalloway, and she's throwing a party. She has her husband Richard, her friend Sally, her other friend Peter. I think she dated him, other people too, but for now I'm going to be continuing on with Flight. I'm going to try and finish this. Hey guys, so my 24-hour readathon is officially over, and in that time I have finished 2 books, and I'm almost halfway done with Mrs. Dalloway. So I guess you can say 2.5 books. Abigail was the first book that I read, and I gave it 4 stars. It was good, but I just felt like it was very long. Flights was the second book that I read, and I also gave that 4 stars. Also just felt very good, very good at parts, but then other times it just didn't resonate for me. And Mrs. Dalloway, I'm struggling. I'm struggling with this one. I don't think it's for me, and I want to give it a fair chance. So I think that I need to read it in a less rushed way where I can just like savor the words and the language, because right now I feel like I'm just trying to rush for the video, and I just think that this type of book requires a lot of patience. So I think that I'm just gonna continue on with it, but like at a slower pace, and try to get a handle of what's happening in the novel, because I am struggling a lot with that. With that being said, that brings us to the end of this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye.